coming in our event.
Is this how you want me to sit? You want me to sit? Okay. Okay.
Sir, thank you so much for coming in our event.
Yeah,
My
welcome.
first question is that what the measures should be taken to ensure quality education to the larger population in India?
Quality education.
Yeah.
I think with quality education, we must first ask ourselves, where do we place ourselves in the world? India is one of the leading countries now, and to lead means to be very responsible. So we must have a vision for the future, and we must balance all the cultural and valuable traditions that we have in each state in India, and at the same time be able to see how each individual can fit into the world at large. Two aspects which would be very important out here. One would be that we should not undermine the value of languages. We are one country where we have so many languages, and we must promote it. We should not cut it down. So we should not cut down the value of languages, and every Indian must be a master at least 3 languages, including English, because that is the language of the world. So that's really important. The other aspect is that, as I said, we must understand that the world is turning very tech savvy, and technology is going to be more and more a very important part of our life. So we must bring it in and make it accessible. Just like we have with telephones, we must make technology accessible to every individual rather than make it exclusive, because that way everyone in India will become lifted in being a better responsible leader. At the same time, we should also be very careful that we should not let technology take over the human element of what is a very wonderful country and a very wonderful community.
Mr. Naidu, there is very little interaction between industry and academia in our country, in our education. So what should be done to produce industry-ready knowledge and workforce in India?
Do you mean by industry, you mean corporate?
Yeah,
or do you mean? Yeah. Actually, I would say that there's a greater link with the corporate than ever before, because today's corporates are not just multinationals which are run by groups from overseas. A lot of our corporates now, a lot of our industry is indigenous, and so the workforce that is working with the corporate and the industry is far bigger than ever before. And so there is a connect. Even our subjects in schools are dealing a lot more with the industry and with the corporate world. So in that sense, the connect is there. I think what is missing is the work experience, the interaction at school level to see what the corporate and the industry working is all about. On the other side, where I think India is making a big mistake, is that on the vocational side, we tend to not promote vocational talent, and we tend to treat that as being inferior, whereas hands-on, where there's machines, tools, handicrafts or whatever, that is a huge talent, and we should be promoting it rather than making it seem that if you're vocational you're not good, if you're blue collar you're not good, if you're white collar you're good and successful. I think we should take away that division between blue and white, and we should make everyone understand there's the inherent talent.
What is the role of ICT in improving educational scenario in India?
The role of ICT is huge, because today almost in no subject can you learn at a regional or a local level. You need to understand where that is placed at the global level also. And ICT brings that to you in the classroom, in the school, in your home. You don't have to go there. So I think the role of ICT is huge, and because ICT is able to project the latest changes, the latest developments, the latest happenings, so it has a huge role to play. And the average child today is so ICT savvy, is so visual, is so hands-on by wanting to do things with the hands, that they need that. They need that as much as they need physical education, and they need various other aspects. My only guarded statement at any stage is that we should not believe that the future and the success of education lies in the hands of ICT, because ICT cannot ever replace the human touch.
Yeah. Sir, What is the role of Pathways World School in education, and what are your new initiatives?
Pathways World School is focusing on the individual. For us, it is not how good you are when you come to school, but how much can we make you into something by the time you leave school. So for us, it is the individual who comes and is molded into something. For us, we take the responsibility that every student going out of Pathways World School, being a high-end premium school by way of the fees, we can understand that minimum people can afford coming to Pathways. But the point is, many of them will become the leaders of tomorrow in industry, in various other segments. And you need to groom good leaders. You need to make them connect with the world beyond. And so for Pathways, in addition to trying to get the highest of and the best of results, it is also to create good global citizens who can go to any part of the world and fit in there and carry a message of school and of the country.
What are your future plans and initiatives?
Future plans for?
Future plans in education.
You mean for Pathways?
Yeah.
Yes. I think as we keep moving into the requirements of the 21st century, with ICT being one of those, we want to also carry them along with an appreciation of the surroundings, the environment, and your personal well-being. Because what is happening is that a lot of Indians who came from larger extended families, even joint families, are now beginning to become more and more nuclear families. Very small, only the parents and the children. And so the extended support they got from the families earlier is not there. And so the average Indian is finding it more and more difficult, without really understanding it, to come to terms with emotional well-being. And how do we contend with our own inherent inner pressures? And in schools like Pathways, we lay a lot of emphasis on helping them to understand that, which is so very important.
Yeah. Mr. Naidu, in terms of enrollment, India has among the largest number of students in the higher education, institutions. But the gross enrollment ratio is much less as compared to global standards. So what should be done to mitigate these challenges?
Go back to the grassroots level. I think a majority of our population is still in the younger age group, primary school and middle school. That's almost more than a third or half of the Indian population. And the kind of accessibility to good education is not keeping up with that. So the government sector, the private sector, everyone needs to reach out for the future of India, which is the younger children, and create a more exciting schooling for them. Schooling is, there's a big difference between literacy and good quality education. Just teaching the alphabet, just helping them to count is not education. Education is understanding the today, the tomorrow, and what was yesterday in this country, and carrying all three together with them. And I'm afraid that's not happening with any determination in most of the school education, because we are only giving a set of information to the children rather than giving an all-rounded approach to them. I think going back to the grassroots level, creating many more primary schools of good quality, that is where we need to start.
Yeah, great. Mr. Naidu, how do you see the role of World Education Summit like events on education in India and worldwide?
Very important. I'm absolutely delighted that this has happened in New Delhi, because educators they tend to be confined to campuses, unlike corporates who tend to mingle and move around a lot more. And educators need to look beyond what they're doing. They need to see what is happening in the rest of the world, the rest of the country, other schools, and also how people of a similar occupation, how do they think, how do they react, how are they responding to various situations. Because it's not just about learning, it's not just about the textbook, it is about the grooming of the human being. And there is no fixed formula, there is no fixed curriculum for grooming human beings. That comes from experience, that comes from challenges, that comes from dealing with it by interaction also, as much as dealing with the individual. So it's very good.
Yeah. Mr. Naidu, what are your views on open and distance learning education?
I think it has a huge future, because I'm afraid higher education institutions have made themselves out of reach of the millions of students who are graduating every year, and not everyone gets admission in that. And the student has the dilemma: if I don't get admission in the best institutions or even in the averagely good institutions, then where do I go? And there used to be a time when the government higher education in India used to be very strong. I'm afraid a lot of the government institutions now have lost their steam, and that is why the alternative is the open-ended learning and open universities like IGNOU. And I think that's really wonderful, because you can do simultaneous things, and a lot of women, for example, who missed it for various social and cultural reasons can go back to getting degrees and getting qualifications and getting into the workforce. So it's very good.
Thank you, Mr. Naidu. Thank you so much.
Welcome.